All right, we'll go ahead and call the Board of Commissioners public hearing to order. Item number 2, first item is second reading of ordinance 18-005, amending Title 12, Building Utility Codes, amending chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, and 11, adopting the 2015 International Building Codes. Is anyone here to speak about that? All right, the next item is the second reading of ordinance 18-006, amending the Kingston Springs zoning ordinance to add revised language for traffic impact study submissions required by the Kingston Springs subdivision regulations. Is anyone here to speak on that? All right, well, then we can adjourn the public hearing and call the Kingston Springs Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Can everyone please rise and face the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. John, could you call the roll?
Gary Corlin. Here. Tony Grove.
Here.
Jeff Lorenz. Here. Glenn Remick.
Here.
Bob Stover. Here.
We have a quorum. Do we have a motion, or the minutes have been circulated from the last meeting, and I think that there have actually been some revisions, but everything's been taken care of. Is there a motion to approve the October 18th City Commission meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right. All right, the agenda's been circulated, and I don't think there's anything to add to it. Is there a motion to approve the November 15th City Commission agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, announcements from commissioners. Jeff, do you have anything?
No.
Great to see the Christmas lights up today, and we're using that bucket truck well too.
Gary?
I don't have anything right now.
All right. Bob?
I'm good.
You're good. All right. We have time for community input. Would anyone like to come to the podium, state your name and address, and
The town that you're from.
town you're from? Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, Board of Commissioners, Larry Craig, 159 West Kingston Springs Road. During the time that I served as a city attorney and served with Bob Stoller, I found him always to be well prepared, very deliberate, and calm in his role as a city commissioner. I think that his business background served the town well, especially as to mechanics of administration and as to understanding a city budget. The municipal budget is like no other budget, and the newly elected folks will find that out pretty quick as their eyes roll in the back of their heads. Bob has been a valuable asset, in my opinion, to the town. I know he's contributed time on the weekends for the farmers market and all other city events and affairs. And Bob, I'd just like to personally say thank you for your service to the town of Kingston Springs. Thank you. Next, I'd like to elaborate a little bit as to Gary Corlin. I first became acquainted with Trina and Gary on the opposite side of a lawsuit. I was representing the contractor, and they were the consumers who claimed to be wrongfully aggrieved. From that rocky start, which also involved a toupee that blew in the wind, but that's another story. But from that rocky start, we became very good friends, and that's been a long time now. Gary, when I first met him as far as the city's concerned, he would be down on weekends and when he was off working at City Park. It had fell into a sad state of repair, and he would be down there working on that ball field when he was off from work at Ford Glass Plant. And if you don't know, Ford Glass Plant is where Gary got his best sleep. Back when Tom Blackburn was on the city commission, we were trying to recruit somebody to run for office. We were short one person to run for commissioner. Nobody had picked up a petition. Gary showed up with talking to Tom and I over on the front porch of the old City Hall building, and we said, well, Gary, why don't you run? He said, well, I don't know anything about it. We said, don't worry about it, just pick up a petition, there's nothing to it, all you gotta do is show up. So the rest of that's history. Then in the late 1980s, we took family vacation to Florida, Gary and Trina and 2 kids, and Pam and I and our son, Bob, Lauren, Bo,
Vicky
and
would be the other.
Vicky in there, and also Harley and Dee and Ellen and their 2 children from Jackson. And we were down in Panama City, and we were on one end of the beach. Down the road, Gary and Trina were at a condo. And then about the last day, we were going to get the obligatory group shot picture. This is back when you had real cameras taking pictures, and you'd have to find somebody to take the picture. So we were ready for the picture. Gary could not be found. He was missing in action. Now, there's an unfounded rumor that he was still at the hotel with his friend, Old Charter. I don't know that to be true. In any event, we said, well, we need to go ahead and take the picture. Trina said, well, hell, go ahead and take the picture without Gary. So we found this guy walking down the boardwalk there at the beach, and he agreed to take the picture and have the group shot. So I brought you a picture of that group shot. And
You look like Gary.
And you're not in it, Gary. However, I'll give this
You
to.
look like Trina fell in love with this.
However, the guy that took the picture, Bob, said, well, he looks just like Gary. So we took a picture of Trina and this guy who looked like Gary. Have that too. And then the story goes on later, sometime later, Gary finally gets around to looking at the Florida pictures. And he said, well, I don't have a swimsuit like that.
He did say that.
This is all true. And
I'll tell you one part's not true. I wasn't with old Charter. Y'all had taken me, and I'd been in them buckets of margaritas.
Margaret and Rita.
I knew the truth would come out. And I must admit that we did bury you once up by Matco at the intersection when Vanderbilt beat the Tennessee Vols many years ago. One of the few
Kind of regular
occasions.
happening then.
There was somebody that helped me, but I won't tell you who it is.
Kind of a regular event now.
Nonetheless, Gary, thank you for your service, and we appreciate what you've done for the town of Kingston.
I'm Tony Campbell. I live on Maple Street here in Kingston Springs, have for a few years. I can't tell funny stories about Gary Cortland. I can just tell you that he's served as a great commissioner, loyal, dedicated to the city, and he's made a hell of a contribution. He and I'm still on the planning commission, so he and I have served along side for I don't know how many years, 30 years?
About told about.
Anyhow, he's been a great guy and he's done well for the town. I also want to comment on Bob Stoller. I think I helped recruit him, and he has done, I think, a great job for the city. He really knows the budget, he works hard at it, and there has to be at least one commissioner that knows the budget and knows how to deal with it. So, and Bob has done that. The town of Kingston Springs has been well served by both of them. It's a little community, and it's because of folks that are willing to serve on the commission and give to the town. Thank you, both of you.
My name is Reverend Bob Sanders. I live at 225 Woodlands Drive. I have the red dumpster in the front yard.
I've seen it.
Thought you might have. I'd like to make a few comments. I won't be long. Those of you that need to take a nap, go ahead. I'd like to thank Bob for his service to the city. Bob's done a great job. I thought he was a little introverted, but as I got to know him, he's not. I think he's done a good job, and I appreciate the service that you've done. As I've challenged people in the past, don't forget where you came from. Continue to help make the city better and strive forward. There was a great politician from the state of Georgia that said one of his favorite statements was, "I tip my hat to the past and roll up my sleeves to the future." So I want to say that to the newly elected people here too. That guy was Governor Carl Lee Sanders. He'd be my dad's brother. I'm very proud of him. The second thing I'd like to mention to this commission tonight, nobody ever brings out the pictures. Gary Corlew and I have done a lot of events with a lot of these people that are back here. We've had the Luigi brothers that have been known to get drunk at public functions. They've been known to drink beer and build libraries. There's a lot of alcohol involved in the stuff that they do. But I'll say this, and I will say this about Gary. Gary cared more about this city than anybody. I was a one-termer. I got beat by 3 votes. My signs went down within 20 minutes. But Gary has done a great job for this city. I trained him. I brought him on board, showed him the ropes. He stuck around for 30 years. Now, I do take offense to the fact that he's called the King of Kingston Springs. He's got a damn park named after him. I don't even have an outhouse named after me. Joe Cron. I mean, there's many people that have been overlooked in our future and our past. But I will say this. There's nobody in this room that cared more about this town than that man right there. And I'd just like to thank him for all the years of service, and his wife, without her pushing him out of bed every morning. I was in Gatlinburg this weekend, and I ran into a fella on the street, and he said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I live in the Garden Spot of the South, a town called Kingston Springs." And he said, "Do you know Gary Corlew?" I said, "You bet your fanny I do." He said, "I work with him." Well, he said, "He sleeps with me at the Ford Glass." But I just want to tell you, I appreciate your service to our town. I appreciate the service to our town. And I appreciate y'all keeping an eye on these people like Tony does every day. Y'all need to come down here and check on them. And if there's anything y'all need that involves alcohol, just call me.
Anyone else? No? All right, well, we can move on then, I guess, to department reports. John?
As indicated in the agenda, Sergeant Vaughn applied for the pool's driver safety grant, and we have been notified that we were awarded that grant. So that's a $1,000 matching grant. So that'll be $2,000 to the purchase of backup cameras for the fire truck vehicles and online training for driver safety classes for everyone on the volunteer fire department. Sergeant Vaughn also applied for a Tennessee State Forestry grant, and we got notified that we were awarded that grant as well. It's a 50% matching grant. It will be spent on wildland fire equipment, backpack blowers, gear, that kind of thing to help fight brush fires. Also, I'd like to recognize that Chief Bubba Ivy is on December 1st, will celebrate 25 years working with the town of Kingston Springs. So congratulations, Chief Ivy. And one other quick thing, as you probably all know, Jeremy Vaughn's father passed away this past week, so please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And I believe that Chief Ivy has something he'd like to discuss.
I do. I had brought before you all about the Tyler software, the reporting software, and at the time that I brought it, it wasn't a possibility at that time to go on with the county, so we were going to be on a separate system. Since then, Sheriff Breedlove's agreed that they're going to host the server, so in essence, that kind of changes the pricing a little bit. But we have firm pricing now. We have the money in the drug fund. Well, it's in the money market, the drug fund. But I need to get permission to spend up to $15,000 to get this software purchased, and that will be for reporting. It'll have for evidence organization software, and it'll be for the e-tickets, so that the tickets will be digital through the computer. So up to $15,000 to go from the drug fund account to be spent to purchase the Tyler software. And as soon as we get the money, we're ready to go on board, and so it should be a pretty quick transition.
Do we have a motion to approve for Chief Ivy to spend the $15,000 from the drug fund?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Questions for Chief Ivy? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Anything else from departments?
I'd just like to say to Bob and Gary, Bob, you've been a great sport for both our fire and police departments. You've been a great sport for staff, and I appreciate the time you served, and I hope you're not a stranger. Gary, you was here when I came. It's gonna be odd. It's really hard if we start seeing people that we worked with for this many years retiring. And I think we're going to really miss you. You've always supported the staff, you've always supported our departments, and you've always had the city's best interest in mind, and I appreciate it.
Very good, brother. Okay. All right. On to legal.
Just a quick update that still tweaking a few things on the cable franchise. Kind of the ball is in their court. We're waiting to hear back from legal. So it's a long process apparently. So.
Very long. How long are we in the process now? 18 months, somewhere in there?
Something like that. And if it makes you feel better, Ashland City's even further behind than Kingston Springs is. So.
Okay. All right, unfinished business. Item A is second reading of ordinance 18-005, amending Title 12 Building Utility Codes, amending chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, and 11, adopting the 2015 International Building Codes. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion? All right.
Tony, you just probably want to note that there was no one spoke for or against.
That's true. No one spoke for or against in the public hearing for this item. All right, should we call the roll for this one, I guess?
Gary Corley,
Yes.
Tony Gross,
Yes.
Jeff Lorenz,
Yes.
Lynn Remick,
Yes.
Bob Stoller.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Item B is second reading of ordinance 18-006, amending Kingston Springs zoning ordinance to add revised language for the traffic impact study submission required by Kingston Springs subdivision regulations. And once again, nobody spoke for or against this during the public hearing. Do we have a motion to approve on second reading?
Motion to approve on second reading ordinance 18-006.
Do we have a second? Any discussion? Could you call the roll?
Gary Corley,
Yes.
Tony Gross,
Yes.
Jeff Lorenz,
Yes.
Lynn Remick,
Yes.
Bob Stoller.
Yes.
Motion passes. New business, item A, motion to approve resolution 18-008, support of updating the Title 6 policy, procedures, documentation for the town of Kingston Springs. John, would you like to speak to this?
If you receive grant or funding from TDOT in any way, which the town of Kingston Springs does, TDOT requires every 3 years for the Title VI information TDOT has to be updated. Kingston Springs has always used the Title VI policies, but the materials that we had that were sort of spread out in different places. So we compiled them together into one, basically a binder of Title VI policies and procedures. And this resolution is to accept that binder as the Kingston Springs Title VI policy and procedure binder.
Do we have a motion to approve Resolution 18-008?
Motion to approve Resolution 18-008.
Second?
Second.
All right, is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, item B is motion to approve receipt of $15 donation to the town of Kingston Springs from Rakai Engel. It's a return of the remaining, I guess, our farmers markets, which he paid in. So,
Our farmers market ended up 3 weeks before we had anticipated it ending because we ran out of vegetables. The people that paid the annual fee of $100, which works out to $5 per market for the 20 market season, were given refunds of $15 each. Ms. Engel sent the check back to the town, said that she enjoyed her time at the market and wanted the town to put the money back into the general fund.
great. I do have a motion to accept the donation.
Motion to accept the donation of $15 to the farmers and artisans market.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, item C is motion to approve reimbursement for secondary water meters in the amount of $17,037.61.
You get this one, Gary, it's a paid out, Gary.
I got some of it.
Got to approve it.
It's in change. It's in change.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, and then under surplus items, we have a Karcher electric, I don't know, is that how you pronounce that? Electric pressure washer, and a 2003 Chevy work truck to sell via auction. Do we have a motion to surplus these items?
Motion to surplus those items.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And the reminders, our city hall will be closed November 22nd and 23rd for Thanksgiving, and the Christmas tree lighting is on the 29th. And there we, all right. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Gary?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. All right, meeting adjourns. All right, I think at this point we're going to move on to some festivities to celebrate Gary and his accomplishments. Come out here and yeah, well, Gary, you got to get out.
You got it.
You gotta go, guy.
This is for you. Well, we all go right here so we can present Gary with us.
Pictures in orange.
Well, Gary, this is not going to be the same here without you. I've only been here for 6 years, and it's been really good. I like to say that Gary, he, I think one time yelled across the street to Joy when she was walking the dog and said I should run for commission, and that's the reason I'm actually here tonight. Is because Joy came and mentioned, said, "Yeah, that guy lives across the street, Gary." said something about it, and I actually spent a little bit of time just kind of reflecting on Gary and his time here at the town, and one thing that came to me is just how much Gary cares about people, and you know, I said this for the paper when Randy did that article, but he just really cares about people. He cares about the kids at all the events. He went out there. You know, I've heard all the stories about him building the parks and doing all that work there, coaching Little League, making sure that all the kids had treats at the different events and stuff like that. Every time at the fishing rodeo, which he better be there this year even though he's not on the commission. But he's always there. He's always got the prize for the kids. And then, you know, something that always struck me too is Gary is always in it. I think he said this at the Planning Commission meeting last week. He said, well, I don't know anything about the budget. And that's totally not true. Gary does know something about the budget. And what he knows about the budget is it's what the priorities of the town are. And Gary has always had the priorities of the town first. You know, he cares about all the people that live in the town. One of the things he always also says is he wants to take care of the people that work for the town. He's always been just a really strong voice and advocate for the people that work here, the employees. I think I've never had a better friend on the commission than Gary Corlew, and the people of Kingston Springs have had no better friend than Gary Corlew. So, here we go.